So, I mean, in that case, if we're talking about drafted quarterbacks, even though I think the preferable position to go with the quarterback position is probably a trade for a guy, especially if Ron Rivera wants to win next year. But I'm looking at the guys with the strongest arms, and one of those guys that you all probably are going to disagree with me with here. But this is a guy you'll probably get in the second round in the NFL draft at quarterback, Carson Strong. I think he has the biggest elite trait of the NFL draft of quarterbacks, and that is his cannon of an arm. And somebody like Diami Brown probably could thrive with a Carson Strong.
Yeah,
so,
I just wrote about him too.
So
I'll keep interrupting you. My bad.
You're good. Let's talk about the quarterback spot. Because we all know quarterback is on the list. Obviously, like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just to clear up on things, I'm sure we're all in agreement because I wrote these things down already. I'm sure we're all in agreement with Terry. Optional with JD, but Terry is definitely on our list. Wide receiver is on our list. Middle linebacker is on our list. So that's 3 things right there. Quarterback is on our list as well. So let's kind of shake it up for this conversation in itself. I came up with a draft day trade package, man. And I think the thing is with this one, a lot of people throughout and I'll be quick with my point. A lot of people with this situation itself, the quarterback position, and even other positions as well, i.e. Jamin Davis last year, a lot of people really don't foresee it happening until it happens, and that is players shoot up on the draft board all the time. There are going to be somebody, quarterback or two, at the most important position that we need, where you sit here and say, after it's all said and done in April, that what they did in January and what they did during the combine in March, shot them up and on their pro day, shot them up on the draft. Hold on one second. Let me go ahead and fix this right quick. Shot them up on people's draft board. So all of a sudden, you have to figure out how high you have to go in order to get that quarterback. So for me, you have to have a trade package ready to go in order to move up in case you have to move up. And for me, that involves a package including a 2021 first, a 2021 fourth, and then a 2020 second, first or second, and Matt Ioannidis, depending on how far you have to move up. You just have to be ready to spend that. And that's where I'm at. That's one of my to-do items is finding out who's expendable on your roster and then finding out the draft picks that you're going to get ready. Those are what I'm willing to part in order to move up for a quarterback.
Ooh.
Yeah, you got to spend. Spend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind spending and trading picks. You know, I'm like Les Snead. Fuck them picks. You feel me? but at the end of the day, if I'm gonna say fuck them picks, I need to know exactly what I'm getting. So that's where, when it comes to a trade package, there's no quarterback worth that shit in this draft at all.
Well, see that, and that's why I was like, it's going to be somebody that shoot up, bro. I'm telling you, it's going to be somebody. That
yeah, but that's just the propaganda of the NFL draft and just people not really paying attention to tape. I mean, see what happens with the Jamin Davis situation. He was projected a 3rd, 4th round pick, and they let the draft process push him up to a 1st round pick, and then he got on the field, and then what? Nothing. So it's like, at the end of the day, you got to know your tape, and you got to know what you're looking at, and there's no quarterback in this draft worth trading up multiple picks for the future, whatever. And even Ron can't afford to do that, because if he don't hit this year, he's out. So he really will be taking a quarter to somebody else next year, because there's no way there's any quarterback in this draft that's going to be able to take this offense to another level, unless you really sit there and you feel like you have a setup where someone can sit back and develop. You know, maybe you go and take a Malik Willis. He has the highest upside in my opinion, but that package that you just described is what you need to do to go get a veteran presence at QB and Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. Nothing.
I think that's just less than 15% chance, though.
And I really think, just like listening to the presser, reading the transcript you provided, and different talks, and even just knowing that they went so heavy after Matt Stafford last year, but didn't pull it off, they know they need a veteran quarterback. It can't be, you know, a lot of these fans are talking about Jimmy G. Ain't none of that shit. If you do that, you might as well just go ahead and say 1, 2, 3 Cancun, and it's gonna be hell on Ron Rivera if he get Jimmy G, a Trubisky in here, or somebody of that caliber in here. He has to go get an elite quarterback. I don't know if he got to sit outside of Russell Wilson crib in Seattle, LA, New York, Deshaun Watson crib, wherever he at. Like, he has to be on it and pull off something miraculous and get him a elite quarterback that's already been proven in this league. Because, I mean, just my eyes as far as the quarterback position in the draft this year, there's nobody worth me packaging any type of picks or even giving you a second round and a potential first next year to move up. I'm not doing none of that shit for none of these guys. Like, I think at 11,
100%.
Yeah, I think at 11, man, you just sit back, relax, and maybe you get another corner, maybe you get, offensive lineman, maybe you get a wide receiver, but they have to go get a star caliber quarterback, and especially with a new name, you cannot come in here and bring me no fucking rookie quarterback or no fucking Jimmy G or Mitchell Trubisky. You can't do that.
No, I agree 100% with AJ. Like, and the thing is, I would not trade up at all in this draft for a quarterback at all. I don't care who the prospect is. I'm not trading it up at all because I think you could probably, let's say you got 4 prospects in this draft that maybe, NFL GMs like. I don't think you'll be upset if you draft the 4th guy versus not getting the first guy in this draft. I don't think there's a significant drop off from the first quarterback, the QB1 to QB4 in this draft. I don't see a significant drop off. So I'm not trading up for any guy. And as far as as Ron Rivera goes, I think it's in Ron Rivera's best interest to go out there and get a proven guy at the position if you can. If there's one of those guys available, if a Russell Wilson or something is out there available, that's the guy you go the hardest at. Now, I don't think the Deshaun Watson is the option. I don't think he's going to be a viable option only because AJ mentioned something last podcast that was something interesting to me, that he had the same agent as Dwayne Haskins. And that agent, I specifically remember that agent actually blasting Washington football franchise on Twitter. Like, he went on Twitter, he said some things about the Washington football franchise in regards to Dwayne Haskins and them not doing him right and what so. So he may be in, Deshaun Watson's ear, and that may be a reason why Deshaun Watson doesn't have us on one of his little lists that he wants to come here. But if Russell Wilson or one of those other top guys, and it's going to be very few. But if one of those top guys like Russell Wilson becomes available, you have to throw everything at him, just like you did for Matt Stafford last year. You have to go hard at those guys this year. Like, you can't just sit there and be passive going forward. You have to get a guy. Ron Rivera, and he knows. Like, I watched the interview that he had with J.P. Finley recently. When J.P. Finley asked him, he said, "Hey, Ron," he was like, "Do you all?" He made a joke. He was like, "I heard you all need a quarterback." Ron laughed for about 30 seconds, and he finally says, "That's an understatement." So he knows. And he may say all of this bull crap about there being 4 ways to acquire a quarterback, including, what's on the roster. But that's not an option. I don't think what's on the roster right now. I think Ron knows. Yeah, it's only 2 options. Trade or draft. Exactly, Jamal. There's not 4 options. And he's just saying that just to be nice to the guys he already has. He doesn't want to put those guys down publicly. And that's a good coach move. But he knows there's 2 options. There's trade or there's draft. And then whatever top guy becomes, disgruntled with his current situation, that's what's going on right now, you have to put your bid in for that guy. Even Deshaun Watson, even though I think that's unlikely, but you still have to put your bid in for that.
And Ron Rivera also said if they did go and get a quarterback first round, they got to be ready to play right now. Like, he's not going to let them sit back and chill. So if you look at the quarterback prospects, there's very few guys that could get on the field right now and play. It's only going to be those guys that are dual threats in some regard, which is the Matt Corrals, the Malik Willis, because at least if you put them out there and they're not seeing the field well, at least they can run around and try to create something on the fly. But if you get the Sam Howells or even the Kenny Pickett's, I mean, he has some mobility, but it's not anything crazy. But at the end of the day, like, you can't just go get one of these guys. And if he does do that and they don't start, we're gonna go right back to that tape. Like, it's not gonna make sense. So they know. I mean, hopefully they cook it up a little bit more. They also seen what Matt Stafford did with the Rams. That's a little bit more of a, damn, maybe we should have pulled the gun a little bit better or sooner. But we also see where the Rams are. They're back in the playoff mix, and they also have a better passing threat with Stafford at quarterback versus Goff, even though they mortgaged.
Well, what y'all think about Carson Wentz? Would you like Carson Wentz?
Let's get Damien in here.
Carson Wentz in DC.
Yeah, let me. I was going to interrupt y'all. We have my show's a lot. I listen to all that. I think I disagree with.
Hey, your connection going in and out.
Damon got that Teddy Riley Wi-Fi.
He out there in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm about to say the connection going.
Can you hear me? Y'all can hear me? I got full.
I got full bars, bro. What y'all talking about?
You going in and out? It's probably because you moving.
I hear me or no?
Am I stand still? I think we can hear you.
Yeah.
You can hear me right now?
Stand still, but when you get moving.
Shit. I was telling y'all my shit's about to die. What's it called? No, I think Kenny Pickett can actually start right away. I think Carson Strong, Dre's guy, could actually play relatively quickly as well. I think so. I think both Pickett. I think if Washington's going to draft one quarterback,
What's going on, y'all? This is Jamal, and this is just your reminder that you can catch each and every live stream episode of the Trap or Die podcast Tuesday through Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern live on my Twitch channel. The link is in the description. And if you miss any episodes, you can catch the video on demand on my Twitch channel that takes you to each and every episode that you may have missed. With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe to my YouTube channel where we post clips of the show, clips of interviews, interesting conversations, game analysis, film breakdowns, but also where we live stream our instant game analysis from each and every Washington football game immediately after the game is over. With that being said, I'm out of here. Y'all be safe, and I'll catch you next time. We talked about the quarterback. I think y'all made good points. I think, like I said, it's all important, like having that trade package ready. I don't necessarily think you have to use it, but you have to find something because you have to get ready in order to get your draft picks, find your assets that you think are expendable. And if it's not the draft, okay, but have it ready because you probably gonna need an even stronger trade package for a veteran. Matt I don't think he's gonna cut it.
But I'm mad Dre mentioned Carson Wentz. Like what made that come in your head?
I just asked. No, I asked you. Would you be okay if he was look, AJ? How many elite quarterbacks are on the market right now?
Hey, I don't care, man. I'd rather put a paraplegic at quarterback before I put fucking Carson Wentz.
No, you won't, because you don't like Heineke.
Yes,
you're not gonna put a paraplegic.
Bro, I don't like any of these dudes, but Carson Wentz, man, I've had to watch Carson Wentz this whole year because one of my clients plays for the Colts. Oh my God, it is a nightmare. Like, and then seeing it in person is even worse. Like, you're just wondering, like, what the hell is going through his head? Like, and it's baffling to me because if you can't get it right with your former OC, who's the head coach, then you're not going to get it right nowhere else. Like, it's impossible to get that shit right with him.
But I think we as fans have to get used to the idea that we may not get that Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson coming in next year. And if you don't get those two, what are the other options going forward next year? And that's something we have to kind of start talking about.
I would say maybe start rooting for a different team because, like, if you don't get a star quarterback, bro, just like a new team. They about to change the name and everything. Ain't gonna hurt you too bad. So I mean, this team cannot afford to go get a rookie quarterback, in my opinion, because you lose the roster. I've been saying this like since we've been doing this podcast, but you have a lot of guys coming up on new deals. Terry is one of them, right? And that's because he happened to not be a day one draft pick. So he's coming up on a deal. You got Montez Sweat coming up on a deal. Antonio Gibson is coming up on a deal soon because he wasn't a day one pick. Like, you got a lot of guys coming up on deals that you're gonna have to pay. And of course the salary cap is increasing, but long term, even Deron Payne is coming up on a 5th-year option.
Yeah, he coming up.
You have to start you have to start trying to win the Super Bowl right now, because if you don't, you're going to be just like the Seattle Seahawks, who Russell Wilson is trying to get away from, because they no longer have they don't have the assets to go get players anymore. They have no money to spend to acquire guys in the free agency. He's pretty much just stuck with whatever his roster is, you know, and that's not adequate enough in this league. Like, if you're gonna miss on draft picks, you're even more screwed. So, like, when you miss on a Jamin Davis, it's not just a year one. That affects you for 4 or 5 years. Like, no matter if they play quarterback or they play running back, safety, whatever it is, you're hurting your team when you miss on these picks. So yeah, you can't afford to go get a quarterback. No,
so here's the thing. I mean, the thing is, free agency comes before the draft, so you'll have an answer before we even reach April. But I think the thing is, when it comes to that position in itself, if you're not trying at all, then you're losing. You're missing out. You got to make money. You got to spend money to make money. And for me, it's always this notion. Shout out to Bear from ESPN. He says, in gambling terms, the less you bet, the more you lose when you win. If you're not betting, if you're not gambling and trying to hit that guy or hit that pick and get that superstar quarterback, or trying for that superstar quarterback, or trying for competence, and hoping that they blossom into something more, then I mean, it's just losing. You're losing, and that's kind of where I'm at with the position in itself. In terms of this team specifically, you can absolutely win the quarterback situation if you go the draft route. But I mean, what is the easier option? The easier option is going for the veteran, and I don't blame you. But at the same time, you also have to acquire them, and I don't think people are really going to be in that. Like I said, I say less than 15% chance. 15% chance, and that's just why it makes it hard, bro. You're looking at the draft. I think you're looking at the draft.
I mean, I think if you make the necessary moves and improve this team from a playmaker standpoint, it becomes a more attractive place to want to play quarterback. You know, if you go and get guys like a Calvin Ridley, possibly, I'm not saying that's what you should do, but if you go get a Calvin Ridley or a Mike Williams that go along with a Terry McLaurin, now quarterback is looking in here like, damn, I got 2 solid number ones. Like, I got weapons to play with. And they got Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick. Russell Wilson has played with J.D. McKissick already in the past, so he knows what he can do.
Sign that man.
Yeah, that man ain't going nowhere. He gonna sign here. But I mean, you become a more attractive team if you can acquire weapons. I would say I wouldn't be surprised if this team has a quarterback and a framework trade in place by the time they announce the team name on 2/2/22. That's just how Washington likes to move. Like, that's how Dane Snyder moves.
I agree.
Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga what he benching. Triple digits, nigga. Don't forget to mention. Whole hard in the trenches. Ask a nigga.